For the last decade, the idea of a morning basket has been really prominent in homeschool communities, and a lot of people really love their morning basket. Now, we did not do morning basket last year. Instead, we did the virtues loop. But this year, I decided to change it up, and we are sort of doing a morning basket, but we're not doing it the way most families do. So today, I'm going to take you through what we're doing in our morning basket. I will show it to you. It is not aesthetically pleasing. It is not beautiful. Nothing in my house is Pinterest worthy, but that's okay because it is functional for us, and that's really what matters. Hi, my name is Brecky, and I am the mom of twin girls who are 6 years old. We are in first grade and our second year of homeschooling together. I do have two older kids who are in high school and have been publicly schooled the whole way. Today, I want to show you what our morning basket, or as we call it, basket time, what it looks like and how we put it together and how it's continuing to evolve as we grow and we figure out what our best pattern and rhythm of life and homeschooling is. So this bad boy right here, this file folder is our morning basket. See, I told you, it is not aesthetic. 0% aesthetic. This is not your aesthetic, Pinterest-worthy homeschool basket, but you know what? I owned this. In fact, a friend of mine who does a decluttering business, she got this from a gentleman who was cleaning out his office after he retired. And so that is where my homeschool basket came from, and I didn't want to have to buy a new one. So this is my homeschool basket, and I want to show you how we do some of our homeschooling. We have a couple of loops that we do. The first loop is what we call our inspiration or our narration loop. So if you've watched the video, I think it's already up on the Bibles that we have. This is our favorite children's Bible, the Big Picture Story Bible that is adapted by N.T. Wright. Huge fan. And we will read one or two stories. And this is the amount, which I think is perfect amount for training narration, right? The perfect amount to train for narration. And my kids, last year, we would read half and do a narration and read the other half and do a narration. This year, we are reading the whole page and then doing narration. So we are working on our narration skills by reading through the Bible. And like I said, we read 1 to 2 stories every other morning. And that is a part of our religious ed because we are Christians, but also our narration inspiration training. Now, the other part of our inspiration / narration loop on alternate days are the Women Who Dared, 52 stories of fearless daredevils, adventurers, and rebels. And I like this collection because it is unusual women, right? So Georgia Tiny Broadwick, she's the first woman to ever free fall. I think first person to ever free fall doing a parachute because her cord got tangled and she had to cut it. Fascinating, right? And I have never heard of her. People like Dr. Eugenie Clark, the shark lady, we've read a picture book about her. So just some unusual ladies, and what we do is we read about the woman, right? It's pretty long, like you can see, but that is about as long as one of our Bible stories. And then they have to narrate back. Usually with these, I ask for details rather than a full formal narration since it's not a narrative. It's, you know, a little bit about a person. But we do either do what I call listen and tell backs, which is formal narration that we do with this, or I ask them to give me 2 to 3 good details, which is how I usually do with this one. And then we just added to our rotation Paddle to the Sea. And like I said, we've just started this and we are reading really just one page. So we read the sort of first chapter, and then we will read this one, you know, we'll just read one page. And that is our narration, right? And they will offer me a short narration for Paddle to the Sea. So on one day, we will read one of these and one of these, right? That is our current inspiration narration for like one day. And then the other day, we do the Big Picture Bible. Now, we only do traditional formal school time 3 days a week because we do a park program on Thursdays because that's one of my work days, and we do a really amazing co-op on Fridays. Because of that, I usually prioritize the Bible readings. So we tend to do this on Monday and Wednesday, and then we do this loop just on Tuesdays. Okay, that's how it usually goes. So just so you understand kind of how we're shaping that. But that is our narration / virtue inspiration loop that we have in our morning basket. Our next loop is sort of our, I don't know, practical loop, I guess. This is stuff that I wanted to do that would get lost. It would just get lost if it wasn't in something like a morning basket. So we loop our grammar. We are working through first language lessons for the well-trained mind, level 1. And we are on, I think, lesson 19, I think. We are flying through this. The kids really love it. I never thought my kids would love grammar, but they love first language lessons. This is working super well for us. There is no handwriting in this. Now there's optional things where you could write family names and such, but at this point, 0 handwriting. So this is just something we do orally, and usually we sort of start our morning basket with this, and then we'll do our narration, oddly enough. But we do this usually 2 days a week. We tend to do it that way, where this is Monday and Wednesday, and then our second part of our loop is logic. And we do 2 or 3 2-page spreads of logic. So let me show you what these look like. So for example, you can see where they've already done this. They will do like this and this, and we'll do at least 2 of these spreads, if not a third 2-page spread. Right? So we get quite a bit of logic, and we do this usually once a week. Sometimes we'll bust this out on a Thursday or a Friday afternoon, and we'll add some logic in there. But really, this is just a nice, it's something that I want to do, but easily could just forget. I could easily forget logic. So having grammar and logic in a loop where it gives us a little bit of break from grammar twice a week as 6-year-olds feels totally doable for us. We're keeping up with the memorizations that they assign, so it's not a problem, and then breaking it up with some logic has worked well. So that's our second loop that we do in the morning basket time. Our next loop is our flashcard loop, and we tend to focus mostly on our sight words, but I take a collection of different sight words. They are practicing the S, adding an S for plurals at the end in this particular one, but I have a collection of these that came with All About Reading Level 1, and I just pick 10 or 12 and I add them in so that they are practicing not just their assigned sight words like said and was, but they're also getting some other high frequency words that I want them to be able to start practicing seeing and not just decoding every time they see it. So we do have a All About Reading sight word kind of challenge deck, and there's not that many. I cycle them through so they're not using the same ones. And then I have created a bunch of flashcards that are the addition facts 0 to 12. We don't do all of these every time. We just do 4 or 5. But the idea is that they can start doing that mental math of knowing, okay, 2 and 3 is 5, right? Those sorts of mental pieces, and they can get used to doing it more quickly. Really, this is about them picking up confidence in doing their math and speed, right? This is mental math practice. Same thing with the sight words. It is more of a sort of mental exercise in getting used to seeing words and getting fast with them. So we just do 1 set a day, and again, we don't do the whole chunk. We'll do, maybe they'll each get 5, right? So one kid will have 1 and the other kid, and we'll go back and forth until they've each answered at least 5 flashcards. And this is just fun. It breaks up all the reading that we do. It breaks up everything. They enjoy it as long as I don't do too many. After about 5 or 6 each, they get a bit bored. So that's kind of our limit, but it does just add that extra layer of practice. And sometimes, morning basket is some of our best attention. We are doing it currently at the very beginning of the day. So it's some of our best attention. So throwing everything in, doing a little taste of things really gets our brain awake and motivated and doing a little bit of a lot of different subjects. Final loop is our handwriting and copywork loop. So these are our little handwriting booklets. We are still working through the kindergarten booklets from The Good and the Beautiful. Here's one of them. We are nearly done. We didn't start these until March of last year. So I'm not pushing them to go beyond that. They just turned 6, and they would be in kindergarten if they were in public school. So I'm not really worried. We will move right into level 1. I have them already in the morning basket ready to go so that when they finish, they finish. But we do handwriting. Usually, right now it's been handwriting 2 days a week and copywork 1 day a week. I'm going to try to get better about actually looping that. And so then we have our copywork notebook, and So here we go. This is my less interested writer. She's this particular child could care less about copy work, but we still do it. But yeah, we have a loop where we do handwriting some days and copy work another day. Again, I know that research has said that 6-year-olds, they're just still developing the muscles in their hands, and I don't want them to get burned out from doing too much handwriting early in the day and then not want to do like their math worksheets, for example. So just a little taste. So that is the last of our looping schedule, right? We have our inspiration, narration loop, our logic, grammar loop, our handwriting, copy work loop, and our different activity card, sort of sight word, math card loops. So then I want to show you our kind of social emotional learning. Right now we are currently working on our health and safety cards. So they are just question cards. If you see a dead bird or animal, we do not touch them, right? We do not touch them. And so these are just nice little conversation starters. There's a pack of them like this. And we do about 4 to 6, kind of depending upon the topic and how well the discussion goes. We do these every single morning. A morning that we miss our health and safety cards where we have sit down school is a morning we are sad because we love our health and safety cards. So these do not get cycled. Along with that, we are trying to do a better job of reading 1 poem a morning. We've been working through these little flower fairies books. I only have 2 of them. I'd like to get all 4. I had a set of these when I was a little kid. And these are nice. These are just a nice sort of change up to the sort of standard poems that we get. I do want to get more collections of poetry. I'd like to do like the Tiger collection of poems, or the song, I think it's nature song or something, where it's a poem a day. I'd love to eventually invest in those, but I have these right now. So we're adding those into the poetry that we're exposed to. We also do poetry tea time, and we'll read these there and some other collections. That is sort of our everyday, right? We do 1 of these every day, and we're trying to do a poem every day. Then we have some things that become kind of depending upon the day and the time and our sort of feels and what's going on. We have bedtime math. Sometimes I will do a bedtime math story in our morning basket. And these are, if you're unfamiliar, these are really short stories that you have to pay attention to, and then you get to ask questions that get more and more difficult that have math facts, right? So like, if you have yellow, red, and orange all together to make your own mac and cheese shade, how many crayons did you use? Those sorts of little things, up to more complicated ones. So they're like little stories, a really short story with some math facts. I would say we do bedtime math about once a week. I don't have it here because my girls were going through them, but we also do Life of Fred, and Life of Fred lives in our morning basket, but we don't always do it with morning basket. Sometimes we do, and we'll do Life of Fred instead, and sometimes we do that at other times of the day, but it lives inside the morning basket usually, so it doesn't get lost. The final thing that lives inside morning basket but is not something that we do during morning basket time is our read aloud. Right now we are reading Meet Felicity, an American Girl. This was my daughter's choice. I think I've told you all that she wanted the girl with the shower cap. Do you see her? The pink flowers and the shower cap. That was the book she wanted to read. We read this last year. We are rereading it. So far it's going great. We aren't doing any of the extra activities. We are just reading this as our read aloud instead of Sarah Plain and Tall, which is fine. Sarah Plain and Tall probably should be read later anyway. But it lives in our morning basket, even though we usually do this as a snack time read or a lunchtime read. It lives in the morning basket. So it's a part of the actual morning basket, even if it happens at a different time. Now, there are a couple things in here that we don't usually do because we're sort of changing, and that is some games. I've taken the Spot It out, but I used to have Spot It and Blink and then Tenzi. I really wanted us to do a game to get the day started. But what I found was once we started a game, we didn't want to stop playing games. We didn't want to stop playing games. So we have them in here. I'm keeping this in here because I know it lives there. It won't get lost. But we aren't really doing that. It just wasn't working for our flow. But I have them there in case we need them or want them. If we're having a hard time with energy, we need something to kind of pep us up, I know that I have a game in here. The other thing that's in our morning basket we don't use very regularly are our Mindful Kids cards. We have used, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these. and I like them a lot. I just don't ever really think about, you know, pulling them out. So I need to do a better job of incorporating these, but we just haven't used them as much. But they do live in our morning basket. This is our very non-aesthetic morning basket. It isn't for everyone. It is certainly not the way that Pam Barnhill and a lot of the kind of early pioneers of morning basket would do their morning basket, but it really works for us. It allows us a space to have a catch-all for a bunch of smaller subjects we would have otherwise missed. I'm thinking of eventually adding in like our artist study to here and putting it on a loop schedule, but I don't want this to get too beefy. We're also considering moving this from being kind of morning basket, we say basket time anyway, from being the first sort of subject that we do, and instead maybe making it the third or fourth subject we do. So I'm playing around with that, and I'll let you know how those experiments go. But so far, this is what we do. It has a little bit of everything. It has our narration inspiration loop. It has handwriting. It has where we're going to fit grammar so we don't forget it or neglect it. It has a place for us to do some of our social emotional learning. And really, for me, it is that chunk of time where a ton of little subjects that I could easily shuffle off and forget have a place to live and won't get forgotten. We do this almost every day. This is a top priority for us. So it is a good place to put things that I don't want to neglect. Comment down below and let me know, do you do a morning basket and how do you organize it? Is yours thematic? I've seen some beautiful videos of thematic morning baskets, and part of me wishes I was a little bit more aesthetic, but part of me realizes you just have to live into who your family is. But let me know how you do yours. Is yours thematic? Is yours, like me, more of a catch-all for different loops you don't want to see get lost in midday? Do you do yours first thing in the morning? Is it really like a morning basket, or is it more just like a basket you do with your snack time or with another part of the day? I'm always curious how different families choose to organize their time and organize their routines. All right, if you made it to the end of the video, I would love it if you left me an emoji of a basket. That would just let me know you watched all the way to the end. I'm always curious who makes it through my long chatty videos. And until the next video, y'all, bye.